Welcome aboard, folks. I'm Steven Malkowich, your captain on this adventure called Ship of Fools. I'm a fool. Lucky for you, I'm not sailing solo. Join me and a boatload of people, all just trying to make sense of this crazy world. It's a fabulous mess, and you're invited. Okay, well, Dr. Iman Tabani, I would like to welcome you to Ship of Fools. This just pays tribute to that you never know what we're going to talk about. I'm curious as hell. And we ran into each other a little while ago. I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. Are you referred to as in the term of doctor, or like, is Iman good enough?
Iman is good.
Iman is good enough. Okay.
We are very...
But for those that are tuning in, for the reason I make reference to that is that you are a medical doctor.
Yes, I am.
Who went to medical school and ended up becoming a beekeeper.
Yes.
Which is a story unto itself, but we can start. Let's just start with that. I know that you're from Iran.
Yes.
And that you came to Canada in the late 90s, and take me down that road just briefly about you touched on this before. Your family was you had a large medical and tradition in your family, went back generations, and just briefly bring us sort of from there to here, and then we can start talking about the honey.
Yes. I have to correct here that you asked me, are you a medical doctor? Yes, I am a medical doctor, but I'm not practicing anymore.
Yes.
Medical
Understood.
doctor can be retired. They still are medical doctor, even they're not practicing. But yeah, I'm not practicing. Yes, my family, my family business in the past was to be a family physician. My father, my grandfather, great-grandfather, all going back to, they were in this field. They were medical doctor, and going back to the time that they were practicing, great-grandfather, like a traditional, even one of the great uncle was a king doctor, in country, and what was going very, very deep in our family history. But was my great-grandfather went to Paris. I took him a month to travel with horse and sheep to get there because of the new medicine he wants to learn. And then even was in medical school back in our country that time when he went there. And he came, and even we have still his notebook and books with what chemical, now in Europe they are using for treating this and that. And but then, long story short, my dad, for example, went to study pharmacy. He was a pharmacist, but then, it's going, for me, it was not forced to become a doctor, but was encouraging. Mostly, everybody were expecting, to choose the career. That's all my grandparents, they were.
How large of a family did you come from yourself?
How large?
Yeah. You have many sisters and brothers, or?
Oh, yeah, I have. I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay.
That's even because my dad he wanted like a bigger family.
You don't have to apologize for that.
No, I'm saying even wasn't really like all my aunt and uncle, they have only 2 or 3, but this was decision by mom and dad to have a big, family, and yeah.
So are any other family members medical doctors?
No, we have nurses and stuff, but
still,
I'm the only one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can sort of fast forward here. You end up in Vancouver, British Columbia, for those that around the world that are watching or listening, but we're out in White Rock, South Surrey. You end up out here in the late 90s, and you're doing explain the attraction, how you ended up here.
I said the place I was born is exactly the same weather like here, north of Iran, south of Caspian Sea. and very green, rainy, the same, yeah, I'm
Temperate
saying
climate.
this one. The reason I didn't leave Vancouver after 20 some years is because very familiar. I grew up exactly in the same weather. Even when I came here, some friends were joking and was saying, "What you did when you came here with your camel for laugh?" And I said, "That was lease. I just returned to the company, but I never saw a camel except in zoo."
Yes.
That's because the environment is exactly like here. It's very rainy, even very close to Vancouver. I'm really feeling, this family. This weather is exactly what I go up and I love it. Yeah.
So you end up here, but let's talk about how you we were talking before, but how you ended up becoming a beekeeper.
Okay. When I was in medical school, my curiosity about again, because my rich family history in medical field, that's really helped me to look this way. That's I knew, even my dad was a pharmacist. We never had any pharmaceutical medicine in our home. For cough, we never used cough syrup. Always was remedy of like a honey with black seed that we were using. Because first of all, my dad was aware of all the side effect of those pharmaceutical medication. And we know now lots of those, like for example, because I said cough syrup, I want to bring up, that's lots of new finding that show even those cough syrup will affect kids' IQ. Some of those medication have side effect anyway. And then using natural one was safer, and because was in our family, pass all those remedy to next generation, we had access to it. But when I went to medical school, always this curiosity, that's what about the traditional alternative medicine? Can we use those? Because when we were talking about the side effects, so I said, okay, but those are safer. 1,000 years people use them. And yeah, because when we are saying, oh, as a doctor, we have to be careful not using antibiotics, all the time, because all the germ getting resistant to those antibiotics, and then we need new, stronger antibiotics, and then side effect of them on kidney and other. And then I was thinking, why we are not using those home remedy, like a simple one for a cold, for pain, for cough, for, and then that was my curiosity. Then for my thesis in the end of the medical school, I present, that's okay, comparing what in traditional or alternative medicine they're using, and what we are using right now, comparing them and their side effect or their effectiveness. But they accepted this as my thesis, end of the medical school. They said, no, you 8 years, you study here to learn about all the new science and latest medicine, they produce. And I said, okay, I just changed it to something was acceptable. But the truth was, I never give up. I never thought about, okay. And when I finished my medical school, like everybody else, I start seeing patient in clinic. But very soon I knew this is not something will satisfy me, my curiosity to 30 years see patient. Okay, I went to field of research. I went to forensic medicine. And I did a lots of autopsy over there. And it's not popular with them. Physicians, they like to go and see patient instead. But my curiosity took me that far. And then I was saying, these young people, they're dying. And mostly, I can tell you, it's from the diet, because you compare their artery with the old person, that's living in village or more, they have natural food. In this young person that's have fast food, they aging quickly. Even we don't see, but inside their artery, inside their liver, inside their kidney, side effect of those preservative and stuff. And yes, I really was believing that we need to prevent instead of treating. people. And that was very bright future. I knew that I will be focused on helping people with preventing from disease, and instead of treating symptom and sign, going to the source of the problem. That's today, all medical doctors, most of them, they came to this conclusion. That's, yes, diabetes, when somebody we diagnose is a diabetic, the first things wouldn't be give them medication and they be relied. No, we say go change your lifestyle, your diet, and then maybe the cause you can change it, and then you don't need the rest of your life to use those medication, or maybe less you are dependent to using them if you have correct lifestyle, because the cause is more important than sign and symptom to be. That's what the reason I said. Even I saw many remedy in the past in my family have honey inside them, and always I was, everywhere I was going, I was buying their honey, and I was really into honey. But I never thought about this will become my, I will go practice, producing honey. Then I said, when I was here, I had, I'm just going ahead. Like I was studying Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, everything that I could get hold of to get closer to my philosophy of preventing people from getting sick. And then one a presentation I had regarding to if medicinal plants, they have medicinal honey. And anyway, I knew before even coming, Canada is big honey producer. Back home in Iran is big honey producer too. But anyway, Canada has very, if in Iran, average honey production for one hive is, say, 40 pound. Here is 200 pound. Like Canada,
wow,
very,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's
and I've lived here all my life.
Yeah, but that's because Canada, the way they're practicing is we have. When you go to Alberta or Paris, you see all the canola field, like an ocean of flower.
Yeah. Well, we got the bread.
Million flower, and so easy for bees to collect. And then because we are in north,
never thought of that.
Yeah. We have long summer we have long day.
Yeah.
Bees can work 16 hours.
Yeah.
All this helping to produce more honey. But anyway, I'm saying when I had this presentation regarding to medicinal plants and medicinal honey, and I saw everybody saying, this is very unique. Somebody will, do this and get millionaire. And I said, it's not about getting millionaire, but I'm really interested myself too, because I did research and I saw there is not really any honey from medicinal plants except Manuka honey. That's their own.
Where is that? Where is Manuka honey?
In New Zealand. When European people, they went to New Zealand, they were trying to produce the same honey they had in Europe, like from clover, this stuff, nice honey, but they couldn't because all the wild bushes, they were bees were going to them and bringing a darker honey, brown honey, not tasty, and then they had a hard time to produce the honey they like, or to sell the honey they were producing. And then they did, the university over there did a study about the honey, if any benefit, anything good coming. And then they said, antibacterial, antiviral, so many benefits that I believe every honey they have, if they are not pasteurized, if they are not filtered.
This is New Zealand honey.
Yeah, it's New Zealand, Manuka honey.
It's
very expensive now. And most people, they now buy it as a medicine, not really as honey. It's more, 4 or 5 times more expensive than regular honey. But that's, again, because New Zealand did good advertise on this honey and everybody saw the article.
So why is it called Manuka?
Because the Manuka tree.
Manuka tree. So when it's flowering.
Yeah, flowering and this honey coming from. Because usually when we call the honey is from the source, clover honey.
So, okay. So is this Manuka honey who did the research?
I forgot the name of
was it the University of New Zealand?
University in New Zealand. They did a study, and then when they The article came out, was got a lot of attention from medical view because all the effect of antibacterial of this manuka honey. But I'm saying all honey from different plants, they have their own medicinal property. They have, if you don't destroy them, if you don't cook them, heat them, if you don't kill all the active enzyme, if you don't filter all the propolis, all the good things out of the honey, then they have their own medicinal benefit. Yeah.
So does the medicinal benefit of the honey, does it vary? Obviously, it varies obviously by what's flowering, but if it varies by what's flowering, it must vary year by year.
Yeah.
Like the quality of it.
Yeah. Dependent to how much rain, dryness, everything can affect the honey because even in this area, if we have hot summer, some flower will be more blooming, some less. If it's more rainy, then different chance for different plants too. Honey can be different. And I think I mentioned to you before, we have few thousand plants that they can produce honey, nectar. Actually, we should say nectar because then bees will collect those nectar and pollen, bring to the hives, evaporate the water, add some, their enzyme to it, and then make honey. But few thousand around the world, we have different kind of nectar. And then we have maybe few hundred honey available in market, not everywhere, around the world. If you travel to Africa, if you go to Asia, if you go to Australia, you can find different honey, few hundred different honey around the world together that is available. But usually people only know one color honey liquid in grocery store and they call it honey. And they think honey is one thing, but it's not really. Honey is few hundred different nectar from different flower that they have different.
So you made an interesting comment, man, and that was the grocery store honey that we associate when you say honey. We immediately associate that golden brown liquid that's sitting on the shelf, right? Even in the squeezy bottle. And for those of you that are watching here, the podcast Ship of Fools, this is a man's honey right here.
Yeah,
raw honey. And this is the stuff that I use.
Yeah.
It's great. But man, you would explain the process by which that honey goes on the shelf at the grocery store. Maybe explain that so that if anybody is listening or watching out there, that they understand that what they're necessarily buying isn't necessarily honey. It's
because you show the honey. Yeah, this honey is not liquid even.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, if you put this honey in hot water, will become liquid, exactly like grocery store honey. Maybe lighter color, but I'm saying can become liquid by heat. The temperature is making honey liquid or crystallized. Yes, honey inside the hives, when bees collecting the nectar, when they're bringing inside, they will evaporate the water from nectar. Like 80-90% of those water will become evaporate and become a sticky liquid when it's inside hives, just because the bees are producing heat inside their hives. For their larvae to survive, everything, they need warm place. And the bees are doing inside. By using the honey, they produce heat. And honey inside hives is liquid, usually. We see here in winter some frame of honey in a side, they get crystallized. But as soon as cluster of bees moving on them, they melt them, make them liquid, and then use them. But when you extract the honey from inside hives, from the frame of the honeycomb, we call it, when you extract them, they are coming out, and then they will, if they stay in hive temperature, they will stay liquid. But as soon as they get exposed to the cold, like here in BC, the weather is cold wintertime, they will crystallize. And you will see some honey in grocery store, they are half crystal or some crystal inside them. And that's normal because it's saturated sugar, fructose, glucose. That's because it has pollen particle inside. The only way to prevent from that crystallization is to heat the honey. They call it pasteurized. And because this is question, honey is the only food doesn't have expiry date.
Mm-hmm.
No bacteria, no fungus can grow inside honey. Then why you need something that never go bad to pasteurize?
Good question.
Because milk, in 1 week would go bad, sour, needed to be pasteurized to shelf life, get longer. But about honey, they find honey inside pyramid in Egypt. It still is eatable. Never go bad. As long as you not changing the formula. If you add water stuff, then can ferment it. But the honey by itself, 14 to 17% moisture. Any bacteria, anything alive fall in honey, they will lose their moisture and they will die. And H2O2 inside honey, the chemical stuff the honey has naturally, won't give any chance to any bacteria to survive. That's what the reason honey was preservative. They were using, you can put fresh fish or meat inside honey to stay fresh for a long time. And then that's all I'm saying. Only reason they pasteurized honey was to keep honey clear and liquid, not become crystallized. Okay, the process is like this. They heat the honey, become like water, runny, because liquid honey cannot go through the filter. Then 40 micron, 80 micron filter pass. What will be leftover inside filter is all the goodness of honey. Pollen, propolis, everything that is giving honey antibacterial. Pollen is richest source of multivitamin. All will be left over out, and sweetener from honey will go to the jar. And that sweetener, until the lid is closed, because there's no particle inside, because crystal need nucleus or center to shape. Until that jar is closed, usually honey will stay liquid. And then maybe as soon as they open the jar, then the dust go inside, then the crystallization starts from top. But our honey, we just extract it, and then we don't even use heat exchange or stuff. We just put it inside jar, and they will go crystallize naturally, and will stay like that. And even the pollen inside the honey, the goodness of crystallized honey is the pollen inside honey is fresh and will keep all the benefit. Like a pollen has protein, all amino acid, like a vitamins. Everything will stay preserved in the honey. But when you compare with grocery store, that's no pollen. One research they did a few years ago was showing North America, 76% of honey, they don't have any track of pollen. By definition, pollen should honey.
Don't you have to? You can still be called honey and not have.
Unfortunately, still are called honey, but by definition, honey should have pollen inside them, because this is the only way we can say what is the source of honey. When we say clover honey, because we can find clover pollen inside honey. When we say like a manuka honey or whatever you call it, you should find the pollen inside to recognize from which region came. For example, few years ago, I don't know how many years ago, China was banned from sending honey to Europe and North America because the antibiotics they were using, chloramphenicol inside their honey, could affect pregnant women and their baby to make them anemic and, destroy their bone marrow and stuff. And then they banned that honey. But as soon as this happened, they start filtering the honey to get residue out and then sending to some country that they never produced honey before, and then suddenly become exporter of honey. And then honey came again back to the market because, the need. And yes, being pollen inside honey is very important, because if they wouldn't filter their honey, if they were sending their honey to somewhere else and then coming to, you could track and say, okay, that place doesn't have these trees and this pollen. then it's coming from China or coming from other country. That's the origin you can even recognize.
Wow. That blows me away.
Then let's go back to the raw honey, cold extract raw honey. Yes, we have raw honey that is liquid. Doesn't mean if it's raw honey has to be crystallized, because I said in warm country they will stay liquid even if they are raw. Still they will stay liquid because the temperature, the heat prevent from crystallization. But in cold place like here in Canada or North Europe, people are familiar with raw honey that is crystallized. And then still we have liquid honey here that is raw, but we have to keep them in hive temperature. As soon as people they buy them, if they put in cold, say put in fridge, that honey doesn't need fridge or freezer because never go bad. But say if they put in cold place or in fridge, they will start crystallization. And a lot of people they're coming from warmer climate, they never saw crystallized honey. They believe, oh, if honey crystallize, this is the biggest myth, then has a sugar. Because they say, oh, it's sugar inside honey. No, it's natural sugar honey has. Yes, that's the reason honey is sweet. But doesn't mean is refined sugar, white sugar. That's unfortunately.
I never thought of that, man.
Exactly.
That the assumption would be that sugar that people would think that they're not from this climate.
Oh,
that they would.
You have to read some of the comments. Some people they put that they said, oh, this honey has a sugar because now I can see in our jar those white sugar is, appearing after just having months this honey, and I could say, okay, that's. Yeah, it's my fault. Honestly, people like me supposed to educate.
Yes.
Most people they don't know. It's not. I cannot really laugh or blame them because if you never heard about it, how
That's
you
right.
know? He came from because I had somebody from Africa said, I know the taste of original honey. You cannot fool me with the honey. I said, the honey in your village or wherever you are coming, you never find anywhere else in the world. If you find those tree here, then you will find honey.
Yeah.
He said, no, we don't have those trees. I said, yes, then it's as simple as this. Honey will have different tastes everywhere, depending which flower. And then, because over there was so hot, you never saw crystallized honey. But here you will see, he said, oh, you cannot sell this as a honey to me. I know honey. We got wild honey from the tree. We know the real honey. I said, yes, you're correct. But again, that's temperature. We'll keep honey liquid, but that's honey if come or you put in fridge, even over there, will crystallize. Yeah.
Get hard. So you have currently in the province of British Columbia, you were telling me before, you have how many hives have you got? Throughout it's just in the province of BC.
Yeah, BC is one of a small honey producer in Canada compared to Alberta, the biggest. All the prairies, they are the big honey producer of Canada because all the canola field, all the field they have for produce. But BC, we have most of the BC's mountain, Rocky Mountain, west side of the BC, we have a small Fraser Valley, we have Kelowna, those areas, some fruit that they have flower we can produce. Then we go up north BC, is North Alberta, that we have hay field, those, and then we can produce honey over there too. As I said, BC never was a big honey producer of Canada, never was on the map. I want to say I put BC on the map for the honey.
Hence,
because we got
BCB?
first place in the world. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. When we went to London, we got gold award for our honey. Then everybody were curiosity. They were asking, and that's good example. Honestly, I'm saying the judge from US, because most of the judge they were from Europe. But the one judge from US, she told me next day when we got first place in the world, because they don't know, the judge, they don't know honey coming from where. It's they put all the sample that's they got to the final, inside wine glass, and then they have number. And the judge, they will go through them, give them a score. And then which number got the most score, it's winner. And then they go see which that number came from which jar.
Mm-hmm.
And this way, no favor done for any country or any. And then next day when I got first place in the world, everybody was like a congrat me for our success. But the judge from US came and straight came to me and said, I cannot believe it. We gave first place to Canadian honey. And she could read my face that I'm offended. She said, oh, don't be offended. The reason I'm saying, because I test 100 different Canadian honey. None was like what you brought yesterday. Was excellent. I love it, and she asked me, what's secret? Why different? Why your honey was so different? I said, okay, we are from west side of the Rocky Mountain. We are not like a Paris. All the honey coming from Canada, coming from Paris.
Yeah.
And mostly from canola. Our honey doesn't have canola, and then, it's different. And she said, oh, okay, that's makes sense now. Yeah. Yeah, and now BC is officially one of the best honey in the world. Yeah, we got many awards.
So my taste buds haven't availed me.
Yeah.
I love your honey.
Yeah.
I've said that before. So you've got, and I never realized this either, Matt, that when we were talking about that when you got into this business, you really didn't get into the business of honey. You weren't doing that. You were trying to be preventative in your medicinal approach to things. And it wasn't until you got a phone call because you bought your first beehives, 50 of them or so,
Sure.
And somebody calls you and asks you if your beehives are for rent.
Yeah, the same beekeeper, he sold me those hives. Yeah, he told me, if you are renting your hives for pollination. I said, what that mean? He said, oh, yeah, blueberry farmer, they're looking for hives. I don't have it anymore. And I was wondering if you want to use your hives for pollination. Because I said, when I bought those hives, I just bought to do a study about some medicinal plants. And the first one I did was in Alberta. One pharmaceutical company ordered blue borage for their seeds they're using. Mm-hmm. And then I put 50 hives over there to produce honey from blue borage, that is medicinal, the flower, and to study about medicinal honey to see the difference between that honey and, other honey.
So you said blue, say that
borage.
Blue borage.
Yeah, it's one of the medicinal plants they're using.
That's that comes from a plant?
It's one kind of the plants, blue borage.
Blue borage.
Yeah.
Is that like what kind of plant is that?
I don't know how to explain.
Try.
The flower and the seeds of this.
It must grow in Alberta, though.
They do in U.S., Alberta, around the world, even back home in my country, they are using for blue borage. Borage. Yeah, it's borage family.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this one particular one is a star-shaped blue, nice color. Because first time I remember when I drove to Alberta to see the field, from far I thought it's a lake, blue lake, middle of all those different green and yellow. And then I saw, no, that's the field I'm going to. And then, but I'm saying this is one example. For example, you can have many different medicinal plants from mint family, from different, and then produce honey that will have different effect in our body. That's what. But anyway, again, longer story short, when I bought those bees and the next year, I lost some of them. But anyway, the next year I bought more because I saw the need for pollination. They were asking, if you can rent it out. And then I put there and I said, why not? We can produce some income for my research, because it was I was funding, this research. No university was involved. And then I find out, shortage of bees is crazy here in Fraser Valley. Bees are coming from Paris province, like Alberta, even back to Manitoba, to here every year to do pollination. And then I find losing bees is very normal. And then every spring they have to bring, they call it package bees, from Australia and New Zealand and from Hawaii, Queen, to here to replace those dead one. And then I was thinking, okay, why bees are dying? Why nobody doing anything about it? And then anyway, I started researching about what's the problem, why bees are declining. And then still, lots of university are involved, and lots of institute that they do the research about to find out the cause that's now bees are declining. And that's the serious. It's not just honeybees, it's even wild bees declining. And
So what's at the source of that? Because I'd asked you before,
Yeah, exactly.
what's normal, attrition or death of a beehive, and you said it was 5 to 10%.
yeah,
When you start knocking out 50%.
before beekeeper, they had like a 5%, 10%, dependent again to where they had
Yeah.
bees. Winter loss, they call it. Because anyway, queen getting old, or whatever reason, maybe rain get to the hives, maybe so many different reasons. 5-10% they were expecting every year they will lose. But then when this varroa mice came from Asian bees to North America, because North America, the honeybees we are using came from Europe, it's not native. And then when this varroa mites, destructive we call it, came to North America, suddenly population of bees in like a year or 2-3 years become half. Because the
So that would come that you call it
varroa mites,
verma mites.
varroa mites,
Varroa
mites. It's kind of mites that they call it. Varroa.
Okay. That
mites.
came from China.
It
or
from Asian country,
an Asian
bees,
country,
because Asian bees for 1,000 years, because we know when parasites usually they live with their host in balance, like they don't kill their host because they will die.
That's right. Yeah.
In Asian bees, because their larva has shorter, time to hatch. This mites, because it's varroa mites is going to the female going inside cell larva and then produce over there. But just being 2 days longer in like a European bees give chance to this female to produce 5 baby. And just imagine, very quickly they multiply.
Yeah.
And then by end of the summer, the number, if you don't do anything, is so high that they will kill all the bees, the host. They will destroy all the larvae. And then no bees will go for winter because there's no healthy larva to make a winter bee.
When did this problem originally occur here in North America?
I believe was like I don't know, I want to say maybe 40 years ago, the first time when this problem came to US, and lots of US beekeepers become bankrupts. And then Canada closed the border. Still border is closed to the US, because before the way Canadian they were practiced was like this. In the spring, they were buying one nucleus, like one small hives from US. And then they were producing honey. And in the end, unfortunately, they were killing all the bees themselves and cleaning the box, make ready for the next year to buy again the packaged bees from the south. The reason they were doing, because they were saying, oh, we have to leave 1 box of the honey or feed them for winter. It's too costly. Buying bees is so cheap. We can buy in the spring. That's what the way of practicing. They were killing all the bees. And then when these varroa mites came and suddenly south couldn't produce, then Canadian beekeeper, they closed the border. Now they have to look after the bees. They have to keep it. But for few years or many, I don't know how many years, we didn't have, but slowly mites came up. The Vancouver Island was the last one. Didn't have mites, but then they got maybe 10 years ago.
See, the average person wouldn't know this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what I mean, is that we don't have a clue. Like 99.9% of people don't have a clue what's in their food.
Even Australia and New Zealand, they didn't have mites until maybe 5 years ago. And now they have the problem. Yeah.
Wow.
Before they were so protective to not any bees come to them because the mites they were trying to prevent, but now they have.
See, I don't even know. Like when you explain the process by buying bees and getting them flown like to you in a package, that's mind-boggling. I didn't even think about that at all.
Yeah.
Like and if you think about things that honey is used in, like it's used in a lot of things,
Oh yeah.
and it would be like, yeah, I'm. It's when I start thinking about it, my experience with beehives goes back to like I think it was probably 1985 or so when I was working in Ottawa from one of my first summers when I was going to university, and the chief of staff for one of the ministers that I was working for in the federal government, he was a beekeeper, so he brought me to his house. And put the full thing and was whatever you do with the smoke or
Yes,
whatever he used to
exactly.
like. I didn't even know what I was doing. He just told me what to do.
Yeah.
But that was my only experience, and I never ever in my wildest imagination would figure that I would be sitting here talking to somebody about honey production, about bees, in 2025 here. But I'm, Oman, your your honey has won multiple awards. You serve a worldwide market, and if you said that the BC, you put BC honey basically on the map.
Yeah.
What are aside from what was the name of the in New Zealand that honey?
Manuka honey.
Manuka honey.
Yeah.
Is that considered to be the gold standard of honey, or is it just because they did the most research?
No, yeah, it's not really. I'm saying, yeah, lots of people, they think if you wanna for medicinal purpose use honey, you should go with Manuka honey, but this is not really true, because first of all, I find out because they know how many tons New Zealand producing honey, Manuka honey, and then how many tons are sold around the world. Unfortunately, one of the presentation I went there was saying from every 6 jar of Manuka honey, 5 of them are fake. It's not really from Manuka
Of course.
tree, but yeah, you can find all the factor that's in Manuka honey. Yeah, unfortunately, everything when get pricey, they make it fake. Yeah, diamond.
Yeah.
They make fake diamond. But luckily, the good news is you don't need to buy Manuka honey to get the medicinal benefit of honey. You can buy your real local honey that's the beekeeper produce. That's if they don't heat it, if they don't filter it like a commercial packer they do, then you have good honey in your hand, will have all those benefits that you're looking for. Yeah.
So as it stands right now, do you is there's got to be, there's still research going on,
Oh yeah,
constantly with regards to
yes,
the medicinal properties of honey.
Many different research institute in cosmetic, in everything. Like they ask us for our honey to be sent there because they are doing a study about benefit of the real honey, but they want a real honey. And one big problem about honey, then maybe people will ask, okay,
Push the microphone up.
if honey is this much medicinal, why we don't know? Because the problem is it's hard to control, because when you say honey is medicinal, people will go to grocery store to grab the honey. But we are not talking about that. We are talking about real honey. That's the reason. They don't want to really make a advertise about something that people have hard time even to grab to one of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And unfortunately, yeah, most of the honey in grocery store, you can find track of sugar that was fed to the bees, or some pesticide, herbicide, and stuff that's really, you don't want to really, because it's hard to control. Then that's the reason we cannot really. Yes, when we say about the benefit of honey, we are talking about benefit of the real honey that wasn't
So is it foolish to assume in a country like Canada? You said that Europe is further ahead,
Yes.
but and we were talking about antibiotics before,
Yeah.
and is it like what would constitute being real honey? Meaning, it's like here, and we would
Yeah, if
the current situation.
I know. If I want to make it simple like this, shouldn't find any sugar inside honey that wasn't supposed to be like naturally from nectar. I'm saying like rice sugar, corn syrup, you know,
Mhm.
this stuff shouldn't be inside honey. That's mean beekeeper feed the bees with some syrup. That's not honey. This adulterated honey.
Yeah.
This is first things. The second is shouldn't be any chemical that wasn't supposed to be inside honey again, like a herbicide, pesticide, antibiotics. Those that's unfortunately or directly beekeeper using inside their hives. That's going to the honey, and they will stay in honey. Honey is preservative again. You remember?
Yeah.
That's I said.
Yeah.
And then, or the place they are producing, like a farmland, they are using, like if they are using glycophosphate for killing all the herb that's invasive herb, for example, and then that can be there and go to the honey when bees are collecting from. These are the reason that's honey will be failed as pure natural honey. But if nothing was inside, then the nature of the honey, because the sweetness, the acidity of honey, the softness of the crystal, because we have judge like a sommelier for wine, we have for honey.
What do you call a
Sommelier, honey.
Sommelier?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
I went last year to Italy to have these courses just for this purpose too. And then they can detect, for example, okay, you can detect metal in your honey that is coming maybe from barrels. They keep the honey inside.
Really?
Yeah. I'm saying, but I'm saying again, even I met some people over there that they could, from testing honey, they could say the source of the honey, which flower this honey was collected. Maybe I can detect my honey here in British Columbia from different, but for them, that's try different honey and then talk about it. Okay, this is the source of the honey coming. That's very interesting. It's like a wine. Yeah. And I think honey is more than just a sweetener. Honey is more than what you saw in grocery store. Honey is fantastic superfood with so many medicinal benefits.
But the majority of people are just like everything else, are uneducated when it comes to where anything comes from.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea. Now, just for those of our viewers or listeners that are listening, it's BCB. I'm saying the name correctly.
Yeah, BCB.
BCB, and for those, and your website is
BCBhoney.com.
honey.com.
Yeah, BC is province of British Columbia, and B is coming from.
Yeah, well, and you're located here. You're local, and I can attest to your product is fantastic because I have been using it for a number of years. And Iman, I'd like to thank you for coming out and doing this afternoon. It was fantastic, and it provided me with some insight. I grew up on the prairies, and know next to nothing about beehives. Of course, it stands to reason that there's canola fields, there's wheat fields, there's tons of things that are flowering, anything that's flowering around us. And is one last thing I want to ask you: is there anything that we can do? Like I'll say the public can do when it comes to.
Sure. I'm saying it's not just the honeybees, it's all the wild bees, all the pollinator. We need them. They are part of like 1/3 of the fruit and food we have on our table, they rely on pollinators. And it's not just about the honey. It's about if bees become disappear, lots of people, they heard that's okay, we cannot survive. But honestly, if bees become disappear, yes, lots of colorful fruit and food we have on table will disappear. And plus, the price so expensive, just almond. If they have pollinator, they have 90% more production. Just imagine if no pollinator, 10%. They will lose 90%. How expensive will be almond in the market? Cranberry, 70%. They have more fruit if they have bees. Blueberry, 40%. Bigger fruit, more production if they have. This is the reason farmer, they pay to the beekeeper to do pollination. And we really need bees and pollinator. I want to really say province of BC are doing very good job to help this pollinator and so many things. That's some good news. We will hear about it. But everybody as individual, we are sharing our backyard with birds and bees. We should accept that too. We are not the only one here. They were before us here. And we really have to welcome them by putting some plants, just providing nectar and pollen for the bumblebees, for all the butterfly, for everything that's helping. Because some research again show that unfortunately we have more bees in downtown Vancouver because all the plants people putting compared to field in Surrey. That's we need more bees. And that's because the malpractice. They kill all the dandelion early spring, the first food for the bees to survive. Honestly, I'm really asking everybody.
Let your
The minimum we can do is don't kill your dandelion, especially with those the herbicide is going to our food. And then let's the bumblebees and bees and honeybees and wild bees come and have, the first things they need in early spring to make the next generation and survive.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
You're
man.
welcome.
I appreciate you coming, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Your time.
Thank you. Thank you. You may be asking yourself, what's any of this got to do with me? Absolutely nothing. Until next time.